huge fan. Huge fan.
Would you like to have your photo taken?
Can we get a family picture? Come on, you guys. Get a family picture. There you go.
Just to have you go. Right, cheesy grin.
Smile.
Another cheesy grin.
All the great scientists, and this is one of them. Kepler and Galileo, Newton. Yeah, we got one right here. It's fantastic, amazing.
My name is Stephen Hawking. For the past 50 years, I have traveled the world, studying and lecturing about time and space, and the laws that govern the universe.
Stephen, break a leg. Don't say that. I'll have to look after him.
This film is a personal journey through my life, told in my own words. Come with me, and I will show you how I live and work today, and tell you the story of how I became who I am. Welcome to my world.
So you're going to take your lunch in the cafeteria? It's up to you.
Yes.
I just have to give Judith a call.
I think it would kill him if he was in a home being cared for by nurses. I think that would be the end for him. He likes to be able to choose what he wants to do with his life. He loves the danger of flying. He wants to go into space, and he's been in submarines. He's just the most craziest man. He's got a lot of guts in him. Just through here is the nurse's room. So if anything medical happens, we'll just grab a phone 999. But there is not much we can actually do because Stephen is on a nippy, which he'll breathe on. If that fails, the only other thing we could do, and we do have, we have oxygen cylinders, and we can give him oxygen. But if he's in total state, then we will have to let him go.
I have lived over 2/3 of my life with the threat of death hanging over me. Because every new day could be my last, I have developed a desire to make the most of each and every minute. Although I'm 71 now, I still go to work every day at Cambridge University.
I'll see you in a bit. Enjoy shopping.
Keeping an active mind has been vital to my survival, as has been maintaining a sense of humor.
When I went to my job interview, I thought he was going to ask me about my past medical history and what I've done before in care. But he didn't. He asked whether I could cook poached eggs. And I was 19 at the time, and I lied because I didn't know how to cook poached eggs, but I got the job straight away. We're not going to work anymore. It's like just going to go and see a friend. Well, family. Stephen's been there through the years of me growing up and like turning into an adult. So he's been there through most of the important stages of my life. I've had a very privileged life thanks to Stephen. Do you enjoy my company?
Maybe.
You're horrible to me, ain't you?
Yes. As you can see, the gradual advance of my illness has meant that I am totally reliant on those around me. 71 years ago, life started that way too. I was born in 1942, exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo. My parents were both at Oxford University, where my father studied medicine. He later specialized in tropical diseases. It is often said that a person's early years are a good indication of how they will turn out. Perhaps my eldest sister Mary remembers me best.
I remember Stephen was very bright, always into things. I remember my father made me a doll's house, so Stephen put in both plumbing and lighting. He liked to win. He liked to win in everything. We all learnt to play drafts. I beat Stephen once at drafts, and he immediately took up chess, and I never beat him at that again.
I also spent a lot of time playing on my own as a boy. I had a passion to understand how things worked, from toy trains to the whole universe.
He would spend a lot of time looking at the sky, looking at the stars, and wondering where eternity came to an end. He couldn't conceive that there could be something without a finish.
Home life was always stimulating for me and my siblings. My mother and father were intellectuals, and naturally they expected their children to follow.
Both my parents were moving in the Highgate, Hampstead intelligentsia, that sort of circle. We always talked. Everyone talked and everybody argued. We used to argue theology a lot. It's a great thing for kids because you don't need any facts whatsoever.
To outsiders, the Hawking household was considered eccentric. But for me, it was a place where my mind was constantly challenged.
There were books everywhere, bookshelves that were double-banked, bookshelves that had, on top of the upright books, rows of other books shoehorned in wherever there was space. It was a less conventional house, one in which the children had a great deal of freedom, and I remember being quite gobsmacked by the conversation over lunch. It was about subjects which were never talked about in my house: sex, homosexuality, arguments for and against abortion, and various other subjects that were quite unusual.
As I developed into a teenager, my parents taught me to always question things and think big.
Stephen devised, and remember this was in the early 1950s, not just one but two computers, which we built from scratch. It was about the size of a half-depth fridge, but about as tall and about as wide. It solved logical problems posed in binary. If this condition is true and that condition is true, or that condition instead is true, then, and it would give you what the then meant.
At school, my classmates gave me the nickname Einstein, even though I was only ever halfway up the class. It was, I like to think, a very bright class.
It was always assumed Stephen would go to Oxford. Both my parents had been to Oxford. You know, he was extremely bright, there was never any doubt about this. He and my father had a difference of opinion about what he should study. Father thought it would be a good thing if Stephen did medicine. But Stephen was not into medicine. He'd have made the most awful doctor, I was thinking. So they compromised.
We agreed on a degree in natural sciences, specializing in physics.